Just hold it without that. This is our... Good morning, friends. Welcome to Community Church of Boston. My name is Dean, and I am called... Well, I'll tell you that what I have on here is, if you're a minister, they call it a stole. If you're a rabbi, they call it a tallis. But I just call it a scarf because it's I'm a fake minister. I've been called reverend, and I say, no, call me irreverend. But anyway, we're so glad you are here with us. And I want to start with this little number. Atlantic and Pacific flow, the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. The land between sustains us all. To nourish her is our fervent call. Arise, arise, I see the future in your eyes. To a more perfect union we aspire and lift our voices from the fire. We reach these shores from distant lands. We came with hungry hearts and hands. Some came by force and some by will, to the auction block and the darkened mill. Arise, arise, I see the future in your eyes. To a more perfect union we aspire and lift our voices from the fire. We died in your fields and your factories, strange fruit hanging from the poplar tree, an old coat hanger in a room somewhere, a trail of tears, an electric chair. Arise, arise, I see the future in your eyes. To a more perfect union we aspire and lift our voices from the fire. And our great responsibility to be guardians of our liberty, till tyrants bend to the people's dreams. And justice flows like a mighty stream. Arise, arise, I see the future in your eyes. To a more perfect union we aspire and lift our voices from the fire. The most patriotic song I know. The gospel according to the history, the anthem according to Howard Zinn, let's call it. It's written by Gene Rowe, R-O-H-E. We have such a full program today, and I want to just announce a couple of Sundays coming because they're so remarkable. Next Sunday, November 10th, Richard Wolff joins us. He has become our sort of new Chomsky Zinn, who used to speak at Community Church once a year, and he has been willing to join us every year. And it's a beautiful thing, and he garners lots and lots of views on our YouTube channel. Check him out. After that, for members only, it's a congregational meeting at 1:30 where we'll be talking about some issues around the lease on the first floor of our building, which we are prepared to sign and need your stamp of glowing approval. And then at 3 o'clock, get this, we have Medea Benjamin. She will be here at 3, also on November 10th. Talk about a full day. And then I just want to tell you one more, which is that December 15th will be our Sacco and Vanzetti Award ceremony. And our recipient this year is Stephen Donziger. If you don't know about him, he took on Chevron in the rainforest of Amazon, Ecuador, and won a huge settlement. And then Chevron took their every legal resource and used it as a cudgel against him. And he's here to tell the story, and we're here to honor him for his incredible activism and the way he's suffered for that activism. Those are our brief announcements. There's a lot more in our newsletter, which you can pick up here, or you can look on our website or our Facebook page and find out other upcoming events. There's also weeknight events, a lot of groups that use this space to meet, like Extinction Rebellion, or Muslims for Progressive Values, or Democratic Socialists of America, Palestine Working Group. The list goes on. We're a very actively used space here, right in the heart of Copley Square. Matt and Yvonne are with us this morning, and it's always just such a pleasure for them to either provide us just with music or do entire presentations themselves. And they've been presentations about all kinds of stuff. The last time they were here, it was about a book and CD that Matt wrote about slavery and abolition, songs of abolition, mid-19th century. Before that, it was about his growing up in San Francisco during the Love era. Before that, it was about the Irish James Callahan, liberator and labor songwriter. So it's just a really rich, amazing list of different projects and things that they have taken on. And they are here once again with us. And a lot of their product that I've just mentioned is available here in the auditorium. Matt Callahan and Yvonne Moore, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dean. We're going to do a couple of songs from an album called It Is Right to Rebel. And this first song is about a man who is just turned 80, celebrated his 80th birthday in prison. I think to this audience he needs no introduction. His name is Leonard Peltier, and this is called Free Peltier.
And you're invited to sing along if you feel like it. It's just a free Peltier. Just sing with me.
Ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. Remember Alcatraz and Wounded Knee, Indian People's Movement making history. Trail of broken treaties raised the cry, 1,000 government promises and everyone a lie. Why? Telling you why. We got the Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier.
Free Peltier. Ain't no doubt about it. We got a free Leonard Peltier. Sing.
Free Leonard Peltier. Yes! Federal agents gunning for Peltier. Leonard was a leader the government did fear. Took him to the courthouse to be tried. This was the same government committed genocide. Why? Telling you why. We got the Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
Free Peltier.
Free Peltier. Ain't no doubt about it. We got a free Leonard Peltier. Shout it.
Free Leonard Peltier. Yes! 40 years have come and gone.
Come and gone. People the world over shouting out to right this wrong, right this wrong, right this wrong. Now it's time for justice to be done, to be done. And to fight for Leonard's freedom is to fight for everyone, everyone, everyone. Why? Telling you why.
We got free Peltier,
Free Peltier,
free Peltier,
free Peltier,
free Peltier,
free Peltier,
free Peltier.
free Peltier. Ain't no doubt about it. We got a free Leonard Peltier. Sing it loud.
Free Leonard Peltier, free Leonard Peltier, free Leonard Peltier.
Yes.
On this next song, I think will fit this program, today's program well. It was inspired by a campaign that the Zapatistas launched about 10 years ago or so, called the War Against Forgetting. And we took that idea and turned it into a song called the War Against Forgetting.
We headed for the hills with our children and our animals. We left the camp a ruin and we left the plains to burn. The soldiers were coming, a cloud of dust approaching, a thunder and the squealing of the gears on Gatling guns.
In the war against forgetting, there will be no prisoners taken, 'cause if no one can remember, no one can foresee. In the war against forgetting, as our memories awaken, the future is our banner as we make history.
It wasn't just their numbers or the power of their weapons. Their lies are what disarmed us, such boundless treachery. They promised bright tomorrows in return for all our yesterdays. Our struggle soon forgotten, then work would make us free.
In the war against forgetting, there will be no prisoners taken, 'cause if no one can remember, no one can foresee. In the war against forgetting, as our memories awaken, the future is our banner as we make history.
Down the generations, we have borne 10,000 sorrows. We grow beneath the mountains of the slaughter and the lie. But the strength of our resistance is greater than the horror. We hear the truth undaunted in a newborn baby's cry.
In the war against forgetting, there will be no prisoners taken, 'cause if no one can remember, no one can foresee. In the war against forgetting, as our memories awaken, the future is our banner as we make history. Their books can't
make us disappear,
for wherever
there is,
we are here. In the war against forgetting, there will be no prisoners taken, 'cause if no one can remember, no one can foresee. In the war against forgetting, as our shackles we are breaking, the future is our banner as we make history.
Thank you.
Matt Callahan and Yvonne Moore, thank you so much. Boy, that Leonard Peltier song will become an anthem for us here. You know, he received our Sacco and Vanzetti Award in 1992, and we had him on the phone, and we have it on a cassette, which we are in the process of digitizing a lot of the kind of key moments in community churches' history. There's 40 years worth of cassette recordings up there, and our archive is really just a rich thing. Unfortunately, we don't have the bandwidth to care for it the way we'd really like to, and we hate to let it go, but we're thinking about engaging some institution to really pay a lot of attention to it and digitize it, but it's a lot up there. In fact, I was up there. I get to give people tours, and anybody who would like to have a little tour, just come by on a weekday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're always here. Other days I'm here quite a bit as well. The last time up there taking somebody to see, you know, there's 104 years worth of yearbooks that are each one is from fall to spring, our season, and it goes all the way from the late 20s all the way to right now. We're missing 2 or 3 binders, but I opened a random binder to show what our programs look like in 1939, and lo and behold, there's a presentation about It Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis. I just opened it to a page, and there it was, and it's what we're having today. It's an amazing thing. Another little coincidence is that Sinclair Lewis was married to Dorothy Thompson. Remarkable journalist between the wars and after the wars, and who spoke here in 1952, and that was the time when she had taken a trip to Gaza and did some reporting. There's some YouTube videos of her reports from Gaza saying this is just the most horrific situation. We need to call attention of the world to what has just gone on here. An enormous number of refugees just pushed into this place with no resources for them, no anything. She would turn over in her grave to see what has happened there now. But Dorothy Thompson, who was married to Sinclair Lewis and who did these reports and immedately lost her career. She no longer had a column in the Ladies' Home Journal. She got blacklisted. And it wasn't the kind of blacklisting that we suffered, which was about anti-communism and the House Un-American activities, but it was unspoken Zionist blacklisting. And she went on the lecture circuit, and this was one of her stops. So I just wanted to provide that as a little background to what we're having this morning that we did this summer, and we needed a reprieve of it on this eve of the election. And It Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis, as recompiled and made for this era, I believe, by none other than Jim Carroll, who is with us this morning. It's such an honor to have you here, and thank you for gracing us with your presence. So I'm just going to hand it over to them and move the microphones, and we will hear the presentation of It Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis. Thanks. One more, just little pitch for Matt and Yvonne. This is a magnificent CD. It's called the James Connolly Songs of Freedom Band, Songs of Freedom, that you can get from them right here. Sinclair Lewis, It Can't Happen Here.
Welcome, everyone, to the Community Church of Boston. Those of you here in person, those of you who are also listening to us online, welcome to you. My name is David Gillette. I'm the literary director of the Poets Theater of Boston. And we, the Poets Theater, is glad to bring you this updated version of Sinclair Lewis's play, which is called, in fact, It Can't Happen Here Again. And our author, one of our authors, Jim Carroll, has asked us to emphasize that this is not the original, the 1936 version. Sinclair Lewis was the first American to win a Nobel Prize in literature and was called during his time the conscience of his generation. That is the 1920s and 1930s. His novels include Main Street, Babbitt, Elmer Gantry, which I think was made into a film with Lancaster, Dodsworth, and in 1935, a novel called It Can't Happen Here, which the following year, 1936, Sinclair Lewis shaped into a play of the same title. And what does the it refer to? 1936? It's fascism. In this novel of Sinclair Lewis's, one character says to the protagonist of the book, whose name is Doremus Jessup, "Why are you afraid of the word fascism, Doremus? It's just a word, it's just a word. It might not be so bad with all the lazy bums we got panhandling relief nowadays and living on my income tax and yours. Not so worse to have a real strong man like Hitler or Mussolini, like Napoleon or Bismarck in the good old days, and have them really run the country and make it efficient and prosperous again. In other words, have a doctor who won't take any back chat, but really boss the patient and make him get well whether he likes it or not." That's from the novel. We of the Poets Theater are glad to present this script called It Can't Happen Here Again, created by our friends Jim Carroll, Rachel DeWaskin, and Wes Savick, under the auspices of Writers for Democratic Action. It draws on Sinclair Lewis's 1936 plays, but has been updated for this year, 2024. We recently heard from Jim, thank you, that this script has been or will be produced in public in 25 public readings and 3 private readings in 11 states, plus the Netherlands, this week, leading up to the election. So this event is, in fact, a national event, even an international event. Let's hear it for the Netherlands. We join our fellow citizens here around the country and around the world to declare that, sorry, it damn well can happen here. Let's not forget that. And we are especially glad to perform at the Community Church of Boston, which has become a regular part of our work as a theater group, and to also celebrate the presence here, the spirit here, of Dorothy Thompson, Sinclair Lewis's wife, who spoke in this very room, or perhaps it was another venue, on several occasions, as of course did many of our heroes, like W.B. Du Bois and Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks and Howard Zinn. This is a wonderful institution. So here we go. It can't happen here again. It can't happen here again. A statement
A declarative statement.
An ironic statement.
It can't happen here.
A provocation.
A warning.
The ultimate denial of reality. It can't happen here.
The title of a novel and a play by Sinclair Lewis.
Which perfectly expresses the complicity
And complacency.
of America in 1936.
And now.
In 1936, the tide of authoritarian dictatorship was flowing.
In 2024, the tide of authoritarian dictatorship is flowing.
In 1936, Adolf Hitler's stormtroopers reoccupied the Rhineland, a signal of a forbidden German rearmament that went unopposed.
In 2024, Vladimir Putin began the third year of his full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
In 1936, Francisco Franco claimed totalitarian powers in Spain, and the brutal Spanish Civil War was ignited.
In 2024, the war between Israel and Hamas splintered the American left, threatening its ability to defend democracy.
In 1936, the Great Purge was underway in the Soviet Union, marked by the murders of 700,000 people. A tsunami of blood that secured the tyranny of Joseph Stalin.
And in the United States,
On October 27th, 1936, 1 week before a presidential election,
An election which would determine not only the fate of the New Deal, but of democracy itself.
coast-to-coast productions of a new play premiered simultaneously on 21 stages in 17 American cities. The play was called
It Can't Happen Here.
Based on the novel by Sinclair Lewis, America's first and at that time only Nobel laureate in literature.
That play, like our performance today, asks what happens when dictatorship threatens democracy.
And less obviously,
What happens when complacency begets complicity?
In 1936, Hallie Flanagan was invited to do something big.
Hi, I'm Hallie Flanagan, and I wanted to do something really big. Something that had never been done before. Backstory. I was asked by Harry Hopkins, my former classmate at Grinnell, to lead the newly created Federal Theater Project. Harry, wouldn't you know, was the head of the WPA, the Works Progress Administration. Director of America's first and only national theater? Hey, not bad for a girl from Redfield, South Dakota.
She immediately commissioned Sinclair Lewis to write a stage adaptation of his novel.
I wanted to do It Can't Happen Here because it is a play about American life today. The play says that when dictatorship comes to threaten democracy, it comes in an apparently harmless guise, with parades and promises, but that when such dictatorship arrives, the promises are not kept, and the parade grounds become encampments. We as American citizens should like to do what we can to keep alive the free, inquiring, critical spirit, which is the center and core of a democracy.
the play opened on the very same night in Birmingham and Denver,
Omaha and Los Angeles,
A New York production in Yiddish.
a Spanish production in Tampa,
a black production in Seattle,
Featuring white actors as the villains.
In an article about the 21 simultaneous productions, the New York Times wrote, "Thousands of Americans who don't know what a fascist dictatorship would mean now have an opportunity to find out."
and today in 2024,
Writers for Democratic Action invites us to gather for a reading.
A reminder.
and a serious call to action.
the presentation you are now watching
This play, staged across the country on October 27th, 1936,
is being publicly performed across America in bookstores and public squares,
theaters and coffee houses,
churches and bars.
all across the country.
We are gathered together to ask,
What's happening here?
What has happened here?
Can it happen here?
and is it happening here?
What can we do about it?
So welcome all.
We are so grateful for your presence here.
Thank you for coming.
Together, we can make a difference.
Together we can make our voices heard.
Welcome all.
The protagonist of Sinclair Lewis's play is a small-town newspaper editor named
Doremus Jessup, the Daily Informer, Beulah Valley, Vermont.
the populist candidate for president running against Franklin Roosevelt is a character named
Berzelius Windrip, Buzz for short.
on the campaign trail. Buzz Windrip makes a speech.
Folks were wrong when they thought that this campaign of mine was to educate the people about Buzz. No, it's me that got educated. What grand people I've been meeting. And everywhere I have found the true American people divided, kept apart by the politicians who in their insensate selfishness befool the very constituents who have placed them on their tinseled thrones. We ought to go forth into the great councils of the state, not asking for anything, but telling them. If you honor me with your votes, I shall not be president. No, I mean that. Not be president at all. But the telephone central through whom every man in this great land can get in touch with every other man so that for the first time since 1860, we can be joined in one unified nation that will sweep the world. I will be your voice.
Doremus Jessup, Windrip's sharpest critic, educated, liberal.
Complacent.
Doremus Jessup, whose belief in reason over emotion naively extends to his fellow citizens, concludes,
It's not so much that I trust Windrip as that I trust that.
Trust what?
You all. Look, God's own free, open American country. Do you know how big Texas is? Big as any 3 European countries put together. This isn't any one-horse European country that a dictator could get hold of. No, sir. It's too big. Dictatorship can't happen here.
May 10th, 1933, Berlin. In an effort to cleanse Germany of un-German books, 25,000 volumes were burned.
burn Freud,
Burn Einstein.
Burn Kafka!
Burn Brecht.
Burn Sinclair Lewis. December 5th, 2023. The Fight Book Bans Act is introduced in the United States House of Representatives by Congressman Jamie Raskin.
And Representative Raskin says this: America is in the middle of an escalating book ban crisis that requires our full attention and strong response. Sinister campaigns to remove books from our schools and libraries are a hallmark of authoritarian and fascist regimes.
Burn Margaret Atwood.
Burn me, Margaret Atwood. I had thought America was against totalitarianism. If so, surely it is important for young people to be able to recognize signs of it. One of those signs is book banning. Need I say more?
Ban Toni Morrison.
Ban me, Toni Morrison. I come from a race of people for whom at one time in this country it was illegal to be taught to read. White people who taught black people how to read were taking the risk of being punished. I think the same sensibilities that informed those people to make it a criminal act for black people to read are the ancestors of these people who are making it a criminal act for their own children to read, and I don't see a great deal of difference between them.
Ban Henry Louis Gates.
Ban me, Henry Louis Gates? Censorship is to art as lynching is to justice.
But can it happen here?
Well, the justices on our current Supreme Court ruled that the President of the United States has broad immunity from prosecution for crimes he commits, so...
You mean like interfering in elections, inciting an insurrection, and suspending the vote?
Something like that, yeah. But can it happen here?
It is happening here.
Oh, slow down.
Like that is happening here.
It just looks and sounds and feels like it's happening, but it's not really happening.
4 more years, and you know what? You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians.
Wait, what?
We'll have it fixed so good, you're not gonna have to vote.
But this is America.
This is America.
It can't happen here.
Phew. Well, that's a relief.
November 12th, 2023, a rally in Claremont, New Hampshire.
The former president of the United States, campaigning for his 3rd consecutive nomination to be Republican candidate for president, said,
We pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections. The threat from outside forces is far less sinister, less dangerous and grave than the threat from within.
threat from within? What does that mean?
Well, Project
What is he talking
2025 spells it out perfectly.
Eliminate the deep state. Cut the civil service.
And all those immigrants?
Hiding in schools and churches and hospitals.
Round them up
And put them in camps.
by the millions.
They don't call it ICE for nothing.
Fire the climate scientists.
Fire the librarians.
Fire the history teachers.
You're fired.
By Act 3 of It Can't Happen Here, Doremus Jessup is tortured and imprisoned in a concentration camp for seditious writing critical of the Winthrop administration.
He dreams of escape to a better place.
Think of being in a place where you can speak right out without looking back over your shoulder. Think of Montreal.
Hi, my name is Dorothy Thompson. Thank you so much for coming. Your concern, your patriotism, and that's a tricky word, is deeply moving to me, to my memory. I lived from 1893 to 1961 and enjoy the wonderful distinction of being the first American journalist to be expelled from Nazi Germany in 1934. I wrote the book, I Saw Hitler, and I did. My book is out of print, alas, but it was quite the sensation at the time. I described Hitler thus. He is formless. He is non-consequential and voluble, ill-suited, ill-poised, and insecure. He is the very prototype of the little man. Ring any bells? I was married to Sinclair Lewis, and he also wrote a book which was quite a sensation at the time, but his is still very much in print, the bastard. What did I learn from my time in Germany? When our dictator turns up, you can depend on it that he will be one of the boys. He will stand for everything traditionally American. They will greet him with one great, big, universal, democratic, sheep-like bleat of, "Okay, sir, you alone can fix it, sir. Fight, fight, fight." I first expressed this concern in 1936, but I'm afraid it is ever more urgent for all of you in 2024. My concern is this. You have moved so far away from being an informed public to being a persuaded public. When liberty is taken away by force, it can be restored by force. But when it is relinquished by default, it will be your own damn fault.
Dorothy Thompson, as I live and breathe. And I don't. Not since 1967. May I rest in peace. I'm the other Dorothy, the funny one. I'm Dorothy Parker, and I hear you. When editors asked me what I was doing to combat fascism, I could only answer, not enough. My last editor asked, "God damn it, why can't you be funny again?"
In 1936, Dorothy Parker helped found the Hollywood Anti-Nazi League. When she died in 1967, she bequeathed her estate to Martin Luther King Jr.
Like so many writers who were anti-fascist activists in the 1930s, I was blacklisted in the 1950s by the distinguished Republican from Wisconsin, Senator Joe McCarthy.
I have in my hand here a list of 205 people that are known to be members of the Communist Party.
One of the many times when it did happen here. God damn it, why can't I make that sound funny?
Before the internet,
Before podcasts
And blogs.
Long before 8-track tapes,
and television.
And color movies.
there was only radio.
And in 1936, if you wanted to win the presidency, you absolutely had to have the support of
Father Charles Conlon.
The radio priest,
demagogue and master of the medium.
reaching a quarter of all Americans every week.
In the play, Lewis calls him Pastor Paul Peter Prang.
Today we might call him Fox News.
Spoiler alert, FDR did not have the support of Father Charles Coughlin.
Of course, he did not have my support. Democracy in America is doomed. This is the last election. Fascism or communism? We are at a crossroads. I take the road of fascism.
Father, what?
And when we get through with all the Jews in America, they'll think the treatment they received in Germany was nothing.
Nor did FDR have the support of Pastor Paul Peter Prang, the fictional father in Lewis's play, whose imitation of Coughlin wasn't terribly exaggerated.
I am Pastor Paul Peter Prang. And while I have no quarrel with individual Jews, those subversive international organizations, which unfortunately are so largely Jewish, must be driven with whips and scorpions from off the face of the earth.
Today, we have Alex Jones.
Unfortunately, folks, we gotta help the innocents and face the demons that have taken over. We gotta face it. Most of your top government people are child rapists, murdering scum. I've told you everything else. You've seen it come true. It's a pedophile army.
And we have a vice presidential nominee.
America is being run by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made, so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too.
Wait, what again?
Kamala Harris? Childless cat lady.
Oh, he means no offense.
No, of course not. Let me be clear. I have nothing against cats.
Okay, but how about women? How's it going for women?
Well, in China, Xi Jinping crushed feminist movements, silencing women who have accused powerful men of sexual assault.
And in North Korea, Kim Jong-un spurred women to seek refuge abroad at roughly 3 times the rate of men.
And in Afghanistan, the Taliban's victory has erased 20 years of progress on women's access to education and representation in public office and the workforce.
But here in the U.S.,
Oh, here in the U.S., the Supreme Court erased 50 years of progress.
Making the subjugation of women a matter of law.
and here in the U.S., the Republican nominee for
President of the United States.
was ordered by a Manhattan jury to pay $83 million for defaming a woman.
A woman he raped in a department store.
So, what was the reaction of the Republican nominee for
President of the United States.
as he left the courtroom?
This is not America.
Actually, it is.
This is not America.
It is, actually. Yup, sure is. Nobody above the law? Yep, that's pretty much how it's supposed to work, actually. Till a few months ago, anyway.
This is not America. This is not America. It's not.
Yes, it is.
Fearing for his precarious hold on power, in Sinclair Lewis's play, President Buzz Windrip raises an armed militia.
An armed militia which is independent and established outside of government agencies.
An armed militia which is directly accountable to President Windrip.
An armed militia which imprisons,
assaults,
and murders American citizens who disagree with the way President Winthrop thinks.
An armed militia with the sole function of intimidating dissent.
In Sinclair Lewis's fiction, they are called the Minutemen.
In America, in 2024, it's no longer fiction. We have real armed militias. They are called constitutional sheriffs.
3%ers,
Guardians of Liberty.
Michigan Wolfpack.
Army of God.
Aryan Nation.
Boogaloo Boys,
Oath Keepers.
White League.
Proud Boys.
Patriot Movement.
Imperial clans of
QAnon.
America.
All awaiting instructions from their commander-in-chief.
I am your voice. I'm your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed,
Instructions which may be issued on January 6th
I am your retribution.
or on any other day.
Stand back and stand by.
Sinclair Lewis ended his play, It Can't Happen Here, with the admonishment, remember everything. Remember, America.
But what America exactly are we to remember?
In the America I remember, I can check out any book from the library and read all the possibilities. No books are banned or burning in the America I remember.
In the America I remember, I can seek help when my body and future are in danger.
I can marry the person I love, no matter who that is.
I remember never having a lockdown drill, never having heard the words school shooting. I can go to school unafraid in the America I remember.
I remember speaking freely, even with those whose views opposed mine.
I remember the long arc of America bending toward justice.
I remember when the insights of scientists informed the basis of government policy.
When hurricanes, forest fires, or heat waves struck, no one denied them. We rallied to help our brothers and sisters.
I remember all of our votes being counted, fair and free elections being fair and free. I remember accepting the certified results of elections. I remember the peaceful transfer of power. America, I remember.
The America I remember opens its doors and cries, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free.
Yeah, remember?
Remember with us.
Remember everything.
Remember
America.
But how? How are we going to do that?
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, from border to border and coast to coast and all the ships at sea. This is Walter Winchell. Let's go to press.
Remember that Sinclair Lewis's play was seen across the nation 1 week before the 1936
The election
presidential-
results are in. President Roosevelt has carried every state in the nation except 2.
Remember America.
As Maine goes, so goes Vermont.
Remember your sacred duty as a citizen of this nation.
Vote.
In November 1936,
We voted.
Voted. At least those Americans who had the right to vote. The rest had to wait another 30 years.
This is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and it is my privilege to serve as your newly re-elected president. I see a great nation upon a great continent, but here is a challenge to our democracy. I see tens of millions of its citizens denied the necessities of life, 1/3 of a nation ill-housed, ill-clad, ill-nourished.
I remember.
The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have too much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little.
Oh, yes.
We're determined to make every American citizen the subject of this country's interest and concern. I shall do my utmost to speak their purpose and to do their will, to give light to them that sit in darkness and guide our feet onto the way of peace.
Remember, America.
Remember freedom.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of worship.
freedom from want.
Freedom from fear.
Remember America.
But what do we do?
Pay attention.
Get involved.
Ask a question.
Read.
Listen closely.
Give respect.
Challenge authority.
Think.
Say their names.
Believe women.
Stay awake.
Act.
Open your mind.
Get the facts.
Show up.
What do we do?
Vote.
What do we do?
Vote.
What do we do?
Vote.
We are the Writers for Democratic Action, and we approve this gathering. Thank you for coming. Stick around. Let's talk to each other. It must not happen here.
It can't happen here. It will not happen here. Thank you so much, all of you, and all of you who are in presence and also online. We're going to have a couple more songs from Matt and Yvonne. I want to tell you that we rely on you and your generosity to keep this thing going. There is a basket in the back. There is also a PayPal link on the Zoom chat. You can also go to our website and find credit card and PayPal link there as well. We're going to just move some microphones here and hear from Matt and Yvonne.
All right.
I think this might work.
You need it closer?
I think so. I think that's all right.
So,
Okay. Are we all right, Amar?
thumb up.
I was researching a book about San Francisco in the 60s, and I discovered a document published by the Bureau of Prisons that included the library that was found in the cell of George Jackson after he'd been killed by the authorities. And this library included works of philosophy, history, economics, and made me think about how a person who could have been arrested for a petty crime and sentenced to life in prison effectively would educate himself, study these books, and in spite of his body being shackled, his spirit was freed, and he became a philosopher and a political leader that inspired the rebellion of prisoners known as Attica. And this is a song called 99 Books.
"99 books in a prisoner's cell hold the key to the gates of hell. 99 books, so much to learn. The light of justice still may burn. 99 books we still can read. A body shackled, the spirit freed. 99 books and a bullet in the head. But thought escapes a hell of lead. The truth is always written in blood that turns the prison walls to mud. And for the price paid to the night comes the dawn's enduring light. George Jackson. It is right to rebel. George Jackson. prisoners cell, the end of slavery did foretell. 99 books and a mind on fire electrified the prison wire. 99 books of thunder roared from Soledad to Attica. 99 books and a bullet in the brain. The killers bore the mark of Cain. The truth is always written in blood that turns the prison walls to mud. And for the price paid to the night comes the dawn's enduring light. George Jackson. It is right to rebel, George Jackson. And 99 books were in his cell. 99 books. 99 books. Said 99 books. Said 99 books.
Another message. This next song was inspired by what has become an annual event, and that's the fires in California. This particular year, these fires happened to burn down a town called Paradise, and that sort of inspired this song. It's called Another Message.
Here comes the fire.
Here comes the fire department. What, are they going to arrest me? Here we go. Somebody say, hold on, here's another message coming. Tell that operator, gotta open up the lines. Hold on, John the Revelator writing, gotta tell the people, gotta open up their minds. Say, hold on, here's another message coming. Tell that operator, gotta open up the lines. Hold on, John the Revelator writing, gotta tell the people, gotta open up their minds.
Now this ain't supposed to happen in this day and age, 'cause we got high technology now. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly?
I heard somebody say, hold on, here's another message coming. Tell that operator, gotta open up the line. Hold on, John the Revelator writing, gotta tell the people, gotta open up their minds. Say, hold on, here's another message coming. Tell that operator, gotta open up the line. Hold on, John the Revelator writing, gotta tell the people, gotta open up their minds. Hey! All around the world, all around the world. I heard somebody say, hold on, here's another message coming. Tell that operator, gotta open up the line. Hold on, John the Revelator writing, gotta tell the people, gotta open up their minds. Say, hold on, here's another message coming. Tell that operator, gotta open up the line. Hold on, John the Revelator writing, gotta tell the people, gotta open up their minds. Say, hold on, here's another message coming. Tell that operator, gotta open up the line. Hold on, John the Revelator writing, gotta tell the people, gotta open up their minds.
I wish they didn't live in Switzerland because it's too far away, and we'd like to have them be the house band or something. It's just these songs are just so amazing and anthemic and right up our alley. Thank you, Matt and Yvonne. Just I can't say enough. Can't say enough. I want to just say to those online and here that this stretch of Boylston Street has changed enormously, and parking is even worse than it ever was. They took a lot of parking away, and now it's a lot of motor scooters doing food delivery, and a bus lane and a bike lane. But we do have this really good deal from Back Bay Garage, which is a block away, and 3 hours for $5, and if you want to linger for longer, $10 will get you out for as much time as you want. So I urge you to take the T. We are the center of the T universe here. But if you do drive, we have this deal for you. Please don't make that an obstacle for your attending here personally. We have a bunch of time for some conversation, but I can't help but want to pitch some more things. This Friday, we have Francisco Mela, who is a Cuban percussionist who teaches at Berkeley and will lead his free jazz ensemble in a freewheeling cuckoo performance of who knows what. And it's going to happen all here on Friday. We've had these before, and they're really fun. And not everybody's cup of tea, but I walk away saying, wow, whoa. So that should be fun. That's this Friday at 7 p.m. More programs coming up. I'll tell you just about one or two. Renee Johnston is an activist against the cop cities that are going up all over the United States. She's joining us on what day? December 8th. Also upcoming after Richard Wolff next Sunday, the Sunday after that, is our own Steve Kellerman, who's giving a related talk to what is here, focusing on Mussolini and the history of Mussolini and his radical transformation from revolutionary leftist to fascist. I really look forward. Steve has given us several wonderful presentations here. Steve is a retired machinist and longtime union activist and union member. And on the subject of anthemic songs from Matt and Yvonne, December 1st we have David Rovics, who is our hard-traveling people's troubadour, who every time he's anywhere near, we drop everything and host him. That's on a Sunday, December 1st. Many more events upcoming, and let's see, we have every other Saturday, second Saturday of every month, we have the Peña, which is a Latin American-themed open mic. You don't have to be from Latin America, and it doesn't even have to be in Spanish, but it's always a bunch of really good food and camaraderie held here the second Saturday of every month. Peña. It's hosted by several of the Latin American members and leaders of our church, and you don't want to miss it. Please come. to the Peña. You might notice if you walk out, look into our vacant restaurant space, and they've decked it out with a Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos celebration and altars to our dearly beloved departed folks. Just have a look in there. It's a beautiful decoration that they made of our vacant space down there. But vacant not for long. We think we're about to be back in the saddle, if you will, because it's been a difficult year for us with that vacant space. Okay, so let's go back to conversation. Here's an email list for you all to join in and know about the Poets Theater upcoming events and activities. There's also an email list for the church's events as well. We'll pass both of these around, and we'll take it from there. Here's another pitch for.
Yes, I would like to just show that. Okay, may I? Go ahead. Sorry, since we're based in Switzerland, but you can find us. You can find us on a double vinyl record, and you can find us on www.met with one T and Yvonne.com. So this is the record, It Is Right to Rebel, which is not just a title, it's also a call for everybody to get up and fight like you guys did. Thank you so much. It was so inspiring. Thanks.
They just put out an LP. I'll have to get a copy and climb up the stairs and up the next set of stairs to the attic of our house, where I have a room that's called the Museum of Obsolete Media, and de-obsoletize the turntable to just to play your record. All right. So let's put this here. And actually, I have to use that for people to tuck into from out there. Let's see, anybody want to chime in from our audience or from our Zoom? Amar, is there anyone who has their hand up or would like to remark? Here, talk right into there.
I would really like to hear something from James Carroll, who helped to write this. Could we start by maybe having a few words from you?
Thank you, ma'am. Well, I've seized the opportunity to just give you all a fuller appreciation of the importance of this presentation by the Poets Theater and the cast, the magnificent cast, what you just did with this script. The unbelievable solidarity of this presentation being done this week all over the country, having been done all over the country in July. An astonishment, really, and a signal of how anxious people are to lift their voice at this moment ahead of voting. That I jump at the chance to acknowledge that this entire enterprise, coast to coast, began in Bob's living room with Joanne and David late last winter, when they were the first people to whom I pitched the idea, literally, of this crazy honoring of Sinclair Lewis and his impulse in 1936, thinking, could we pay homage to that event and lift it up as a model? And Joanne and David and Bob said without any hesitation, yes, absolutely. And that really set the ball rolling. I'm very pleased to be here to acknowledge that, but also to have experienced the special energy and skill with which you brought this simple script. Thank you very, very, very much. And thank you very much to you, Bob. I'm deeply in your debt. And thank you folks for welcoming these words. And I know I don't have to tell you to vote because you've all already voted. But here's hoping. Here's hoping. We live in hope.
Thank you, Jim. It's really an honor to have you, and I hope you come back, and we'd love to have you participate with us and give a talk anytime you like, any topic of your choosing. Steve, this is the Steve I was just talking about, who's giving a talk about Mussolini in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that, excuse me. That's Mussolini, revolutionary socialist and fascist dictator. Okay. Yeah. When I was in high school, I read, I believe, all of Sinclair Lewis's books, and without question, It Can't Happen Here is by far his best. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature, which I thought was not entirely deserved, but It Can't Happen Here is far and away his best book. Yeah, it can happen here, and I think we should all be very worried about the 5th coming up soon, and be prepared to fight back regardless of what happens, because whether Trump wins or loses, we can expect another insurrection from him and his fascist followers, and we should be prepared. I don't know if Biden or Harris has the will to fight, but we should have it. Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Well, David, go ahead.
To follow up on something that Steve said many, many years ago, when Margaret and I were first married, I had a Fulbright in Rome. Spent a lot of that year in Rome reading about fascism, but Italian fascism, and about Mussolini. And right there at the Palazzo Venezia, which is the end of the Corso, opposite the big birthday cake monument to Vittorio Emanuele, is where Mussolini used to have his speeches. He'd sit in the balcony there. And one of his favorite things that he said was, Il Duce ha ragione, il Duce ha sempre ragione. The Duce, the leader, the Führer, the Italian Führer, is right. He's always right. I didn't know until 2 weeks ago that Trump has been saying the same thing. He says, I'm right. I hate to be right, but I'm always right. I thought, where did that come from? I don't think Donald Trump read anything about Mussolini because he doesn't read. But someone in the Trump camp has been talking to Trump about Mussolini and about what a powerful orator he was and how he wrapped crowds around his finger. And one of the things he did is to never admit that he was ever wrong, which maybe he got that from Roy Cohn. But this is verbatim repetition of one of the great fascist slogans, Il Duce ha ragione. He's always right. Thanks, Steve.
My deepest concern about the upcoming election is not long ago I was listening to the British politician George Galloway speak, and he described the Tories and Labour Party in England as two cheeks of the same backside, and when I consider the Democrats and Republicans here, I can't help but think of what George Galloway said. And I'm just so concerned that about Palestine and Ukraine, that Biden's policies aren't going to get changed if Harris gets in. It's a big concern.
I'll take that beat. I mean, I agree with you in essence. I absolutely do agree with you. But I mean, I think it's impossible to talk about how horrific the situation in Gaza is and what's been going on there, and are allowing it to happen. But this relative, like I fear that people of the left will sit out the voting. I'm not so concerned about Massachusetts, obviously, but the things that will change, the things that are changing, the things that have changed, are so dire already that to have sort of a defeatist attitude because of some of the policies that the Democrats go along with, I mean, it's triage, right? I mean, we have women dying in, parking lots outside of, doctors' offices because they're not getting care. We have, the media, as corrupt and awful as it is, we have the media like actively backing down election to challenges. So, I mean, I agree with I've been horrified by the Democrats my whole life. I've never voted anything but Democrat, because the alleviation of like the alleviation of the suffering of the poorest among us, and the alleviation of, I mean, I don't know, I'm not making sense right now, but I hear what you're saying, but I bristle at it a little, not bristle, I'm alarmed by it a little bit to hear good leftist people say that the relativism between the two parties being so similar and the admittedly horrible warmongering that's going on. I mean, there are too many issues that just have to be halted now so the left can have any room to move and, good thinking people can have any sort of hope to influence policy, I know I made absolutely no sense in any of that, but it's early in the morning for me on a Sunday, so.
I think the socialist left has to read the New Yorker, Nicholas Lehman's article about what Biden has done. I mean, I think it's a good argument that Biden has overthrown the neoliberalism that has ruled American democracy and the economy. And he just explains what Bidenomics, as he calls it, has done. It's been an enormous change in overthrowing neoliberal presumptions that there should be no safety nets. There have been enormous safety nets. Billions and trillions of dollars have gone into changing the economy and bringing back a certain kind of industrialization for the very class that Trump actually manages to reach, a bit the way Bernie Sanders did. But Biden is really creating millions of jobs with environmentally sustainable ideas, and not just ideas, but actual facts on the ground. So I don't think, I think the left still has to work, but I don't think that it has to give up. And certainly I agree with you. We can't just say, as I've heard somebody say from Michigan, the lesser of two evils is still evil. It's not so. The lesser of these two evils, the evil that we are confronting is tremendous, and the other party gives me hope.
Yes.
I'm not a great orator myself, so I'm just going to recount from a relevant Common Dreams article recently entitled, "This is Not a Drill, Fascism is on the Ballot," by Norman Solomon. And it ends by quoting another Common Dreams column. Last week, an insightful Common Dreams column entitled 7 Strategic Axioms for the Anxious Progressive Voter offered a forward-looking way to put this next presidential election in a future context. Vote for the candidate you want to organize against. Do we want to be organizing against a fascistic, militaristic President Trump with no realistic hope of changing his policies, or against a neoliberal militant President Harris with the possibility of changing policies?
Thank you. Bob.
I am encouraged by hearing this kind of dialogue. And I just thought I would close at least by thanking Jim and the Writers for Democratic Action and their founder, Todd Gitlin, among the founders, and for giving us all something to do. I mean, there's been a lot of sitting around and complaining and moaning and feeling really completely helpless. Daniel and I tried to stage a play called The Arsonists, which had enormous political overtones, and I think we did so very successfully, about people storing gasoline in their attic and not paying much attention to how dangerous it is. And so, Jim, I want to thank you for giving the Poets Theater something to do. When you were in our living room and we were discussing it, it was the first time I suddenly realized we, too, have something we can do. Daniel was very close on your heels, asking me to direct that play. But all of us have got to dedicate ourselves to doing something and not stopping, no matter what the outcome is. And that's going to be really hard if Trump wins. But it's actually where our courage as artists, theater artists, writers, actually has to get out on the streets and do stuff. We have to make our voices heard. And anyway, I was very happy to be able to do the script and very grateful to those of you who put it together, and especially made it into a national movement. May it long continue.
All right.
Dean, one thing, if I could just say, we didn't get a chance to introduce our cast. We don't have a program today. And I want you to know the names of the actors you've heard this morning. Doug Lockwood, wonderful actor from way back.
All right.
Joanne Baldine, who happens to be the president of the board of the Poets Theater. In the back, Robert Scanlon, who's our artistic director. Amanda Gann, an old veteran of the Poets Theater. And Danny Boudreau from the Praxis Theater Company.
That's me.
Glad to be a part of it. So.
And
David Gillette.
David Gillette.
Literary director of the Poets Theater.
The Poets Theater. Thank you all. And this must have been maybe the half a dozenth event that you have graced us with over a number of years, and it's always just a pleasure, and we hope to have you again soon. And from this come many other ideas for Sunday talks as well. Everybody, we'll keep you posted if you join us. There's an email sign-up list in the back. And it's starting to smell really good in here because Luis Guzman, our cook and janitor, has made us a beautiful chicken soup and French bread toast with it. So I hope you can linger, and we'll put out some tables and enjoy some lunch. And we'll see you in an upcoming Sunday or other events that we have here at Community Church of Boston. So thank you all very much. Meeting is over, and farewell. Do good work and vote.